and there are already girls on the stage. And I had never been to a strip club before. And I was like, I could work at a gentleman's club. You guys asked for it. This is the story of how I almost became a stripper. My family is probably going to see this, but dear family, you know I turned out well, despite everything. I did my best. I was living in Sydney, Australia. I was signed to a management deal. And me and my management, we were gonna set up a big release show for my EP, and I did not have a record label, so I had to stand for all the costs that came along with this. And in order for me to make a profit out of this show, I needed to sell 300 tickets. I had no fan base. I also had no friends in Sydney because I went to school in Sweden. And my manager told me, if you bring 10 of your closest friends together and ask them to sell 10 tickets each, that's already 100 tickets. And I was like, I don't have 10 friends. That's a different story on how I actually managed to sell half of the tickets, which was insane. But this also meant that I lost a lot of money. For yous who don't know the amount of work that you have to put in as an independent artist, it's insane. I was in Sweden to record my EP. I had to do all the promotion work. I had to try to sell these tickets. I had to do all my visuals, and I had to work. And I was working as a nanny. I made no money as a nanny. And I was like, I cannot work more hours in the week and I still don't have enough money to cover my rent, and definitely not to cover all the expenses that came with the show. Renting my musicians, renting rehearsal studios, renting the location. I can go on and on that list. So I was like, how can I make a lot of money in a short amount of time? And I was like, I could work at a gentleman's club. And being a 20-year-old girl, I did not see consequences that well, perhaps. I was like, I love to dance. I'm confident in my sexuality. I could do that. So I get an interview at a gentleman's club in Sydney. I go down to the club in broad daylight, and there are already girls on the stage. And I had never been to a strip club before. And I was like, oh my God. I was not expecting that feeling walking into a strip club. Long story short, I got the job and I was gonna make good money, and I was gonna start working in the bar, so I didn't even have to dance. I got my first shift and I called my dad and told him I got a job, and my plan was to not tell him exactly where, but I can't lie, and I especially cannot lie to my dad. So when he asked me, oh, that's amazing, where's that? Where are you gonna work? I was like, Dad, it's a gentleman's club. And he was quiet, and he was so disappointed. Can you imagine? Anyone who's a dad can probably relate. Your daughter calls you and tells you she's gonna work at a gentleman's club. And my dad was like, I will lend you the money that you need. And I was like, I'm not gonna borrow money. I'm gonna do this on my own. And he was like, well, it's your choice, but I'm not happy with it. And so the day came for my first shift. I walked all the way to the club. I stood outside the door. I was just about to walk in, and I had this like massive anxiety pit in my stomach, and I was like, I can't do this to my dad. There has to be another way. Like everything inside me was screaming at me not to walk into that club. And so I texted my boss and I said, I'm so sorry, I can't come in, I can't do this. Don't count on me. I'm quitting before my first shift. And it was the biggest relief. And to this day, I'm so grateful to my gut feeling. Guys, always listen to your gut feeling. Your gut is always right. I did borrow the money, and after my show was done, I worked full-time for a year and I paid every single penny back. And that's the end of the story. And I've never thought about becoming a stripper ever again. And now I make money full-time doing music. So thank the Lord, it only took me like 10 years, but here I am. Comment down below if you want more story times like this. Thank you for listening, and please don't judge me.